So my story started at birth. There were certain traumatic events that derailed me from an infant state. And I was positioned in a family where I never really felt safe or held or nurtured or even loved. And at a very young age, I could see dark elements, and I always saw this dark energy in a mirror in my grandmother's bedroom. My grandmother raised me, and I just couldn't find comfort in my skin or feel happiness, pure joy. And I have had moments in my life where I've felt joy with the birth of my children, my marriage. There've been some really good things along the way, but there's always been that underlying feeling of something just really off. I did my yoga 200-hour teacher training, and I qualified in 2020, and I was literally given a yoga studio before I'd even qualified, and it was COVID. I was like, there's no way I want to be involved in a yoga studio right now. It's, we can't even gather indoors. I'm not even a qualified teacher yet, but okay, I'll do this. And that's when I met a young girl. I had met her before. She was a friend of my daughter's, and she was in a gothic stage of her life. Pentagram shoelaces, purple hair, self-tattoos, drinking vodka at the age of 12. And she used to sleep over at my house quite regularly because her mother was not really available to her. And I remember I was in my yoga that we had a big sleepover at our house the weekend before with all the teenagers, and they got together, and my husband and I were there, but we're not, like helicopter parents. We let them do what they do and whatever. But I had no idea what had actually gone on that night. Anyway, I was locking up my yoga studio one evening. It was pretty late. I can't remember why I was there so late. And I got a call from the mother to say, do you know that there was LSD at your house over the last weekend? And I was like, what? Like absolutely shocked, horrified, distraught. Went back home. None of my children had taken, thank goodness. But she had 4 or 5 caps, which is a lot of
It's
LSD.
like a Rolling Stones.
It's a lot of LSD, and she's 12.
Yeah.
And then the mother, I offered actually to get involved and to help her. I had no idea at this stage that there was what I'm about to tell you. Anyway, so I started dealing with her every lunchtime, and I had her in a very deep state of yoga nidra in one of our sessions, and I was holding the space. It was just me and her, and I saw this dark swirling thing out the corner of my eye, and I hadn't had a candle there. There was no incense. Looked, disappeared, carried on holding the nidra, came back again and started playing around my space. I'm like, I didn't really understand what it was. It looked like smoke to me. And then when I brought her out of the nidra, she started behaving really strangely, like not really in her body, flick-flacking in a shoulder stand, but doing, complete, it was just very, very odd behavior. And then I got the idea that there was something that had hosted itself on her. And I phoned my yoga teacher at the time, and I'm like, I don't know what the hell's just happened, this. I've never experienced anything like this before. What can I do? What can I say? And she put me on touch with an energy healer called Alan, who is a gentleman that lives out here in Chapman's Peak Drive. Powerful, but not anywhere near where you are, Justine. And we agreed. I phoned the mother and I asked if she was open to a conversation, and she already knew what I was going to say. And we had a brief moment of a conversation. She said that she had picked something up in her daughter's behavior that had changed when she was 8 or 9. They were playing Ouija boards. I mean, this is also still sounds so weird. But we decided that Alan and I would go to their flat to see what was going on at the flat, at the apartment. So we went, and I was terrified because I didn't really know what I was walking into or about to experience. And I remember I'd been given a pearl mala beads. I had that with me, and I started trembling, like really, really shaking. And as we walked into the apartment, I've never felt such lack of light. I was ice cold, just trembling, but not scared, just really like quite taken aback at what I was feeling. Had Alan with me. Eventually we gained access to her bedroom, and I have never been in a space that was so lacking in light. And she had engraved all sorts of spells on her cupboard. Really, really tragic. I mean, she was definitely taken over by Satan. And we had this experience. We did a clearing. It still felt surreal to me. And we left. The child got put into rehab straight away and got put on an airplane and sent to her father in the UK and never been seen again. But she actually messages me every Mother's Day now. But her mother phoned me and was like, I want you not to go anywhere near her. You are clearly not of a Christian background. I don't know what you brought into my home, but what you brought in was totally against everything my religion stands for. We staunch Christians. And I was like, oh my God, I've been completely misperceived. I thought I was helping her, but anyway, that was many, many moons ago. And I never saw anything again up until we moved into our new yoga studio. And I started seeing dark masses, but still I knew, when I saw it, I knew it was there, and I'd phone Alan and he'd come and he'd do a clearing. But the more I got into my yoga journey, and the more I held the sanctuary, and the more I started developing my self-practice, and the more of an imposter syndrome developed, the more disconnected I felt to myself, which is supposed to be the opposite. The more dark I felt internally, the more light I was exposed to in my practice, came other stuff. And then accidents started happening. I broke my foot twice. I broke my knee twice, and that's how I ended up with Mel, because it was just, when these accidents happened, it didn't feel like I had fallen. It felt like I had been pushed. And I remember when I injured my knee for the first time, I tore my ACL and my meniscus. I was sitting on the edge of a ski slope, and the ski, what do you call them? The doctors or the medics could not find me. And I was there. But I didn't even feel that. I mean, I went into another realm completely. And then I knew that there was serious trouble, that I was under serious attack. I was getting sicker, my health declined, I put on something like 20 kilograms. And then Mel mentioned Justine. And it's just been the vibrational quality of light that is now entering my life. I feel alive for the first time in this lifetime, but probably for many.
Yes.
I don't feel like I've been alive for many lifetimes.
But we understand why.
Yes. And that in itself was shocking to me. And my yoga teacher, who comes regularly once a week, the amount of times I almost withdrew myself from you was plentiful, because I was terrified and so ill, and so just I did feel like I was dying, and I think I was. And she kept saying to me, "You've made this decision. You are on this path. Whenever you have this conversation in your head, remind yourself that you've chosen to be on this path. No matter how difficult it's going to be, you are on this path." And that's the conversation I kept having in my head was, no. Don't allow that to come in. I've chosen to be on this path. So there have been many reasons why I haven't wanted to continue, but so many reasons why I have wanted to continue. And thank goodness I did, because gifts are starting to come in slowly, but I can see glimmers of them, and I can see glimmers of heaven again. So, yeah, that's my story.